Hi, I'm Douglas Mason, President and CEO of Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp., RMO, on the TSX Venture Exchange. Rainy Mountain Royalty Corp. is a Canadian-based mineral exploration project generator. The company currently holds multiple property interests in Ontario with joint venture partners and is seeking further joint venture partners for other drill-ready properties in our portfolio. For more information, please visit our website at rmroyalty.com or call me at 604-922-2030.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mike Swanson, editor of WallStreetWindow.com. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Oh, how you doing? Really interesting day in the stock market, that's for sure. Seen some wild swings.
Mike, what do you make of it, and can you make any sense of it, or you just keep your head down and your eyes open?
Well, going into this week, first of all, the news today, of course, is the Federal Reserve Chairman spoke and basically suggested there's only 2 more rate hikes. He's close to the neutral level, and that's lighting a fire. Today, under the stock market, the Dow was rallying over 400 points. And gold stocks are perking up too. And if anything's going to benefit from the end of the interest rate hiking cycle, it's going to be gold and gold stocks. I mentioned a little bit more on that in a second, but it's very important to always put the daily move of a market, no matter what the news is, in context with the overall trend and what's been going on. And we've been in a vicious downtrend in the stock market since the beginning of September. Last week was Thanksgiving week, and the market almost always goes up that week. It's the most out of every week of the year. Statistically, it's the one that always goes up, and it didn't. In fact, it fell fairly hard. So coming into this week, we were deeply oversold in the markets on daily indicators such as stochastics, RSI, and so forth. So some sort of bounce was very likely to occur no matter what news happened. And I think the real question is going to be in a couple days or next week, is this really going to last? Because I think we're going to see the stock market get overbought fairly quickly. Probably around the highs of November is my guess where this thing will go up to and start to run into trouble. I'm not saying it's going to go up there and come straight back down, but I think it could easily stall out up there and just drift for the rest of the year going into New Year's, and then we'll see next year. I mean, that's really what happened in 2015 during that rolling correction that started in July of that year and ended in the first quarter of 2016. The market held up in December and November, went up and down, and then in January fell apart. So I suspect we're heading for something like that all over again. But, this is, I want to see more confirmation, in more details to come from the market action. Will stocks continue to act weak as a whole? Will the internals continue to act weak? If they do, then this thing will end up rolling over when it's over with. But I think an easier place for people to make money than trying to trade this stock market swing up and down is to really seriously look at gold and precious metals. Gold also was oversold yesterday, and so were the mining stocks. Gold went briefly below 1210 yesterday. And I believe that 1190 to 1200 is just solid support. The commercials in the last report were actually net long about 2,000 contracts, and that tells me they're not bearish at all, and they're the smart money. And so that's what I think is going to go up for years and be the biggest beneficiary of the end of the interest rate cycle when it happens. And people also need to consider that the interest rate cycle will end not because we're on the verge of a new economic boom, but because we're at the end of this one. And people need to be very cognizant of that fact and not just think, well, the market's up today and they may not raise rates but a few more times, so I'm just going to throw everything I own in the stock market. It's trying to really be more and more cautious than ever, since we've seen these swings start at the beginning of October.
Now, if the stock market goes down, does that necessarily mean we'll have a recession? Because the economy's doing well, people are employed, people are selling stuff. Can you have a disconnect between the stock markets and the economy?
Oh, you certainly can. In fact, I would say that's what happened in the last time there was a 20% drop in the NASDAQ from July 2015 to the first quarter of 2016. No one in the economy complained or saw additional hardship during that decline, and we can go back instances before that where there are 10% drops, that flash crash in 2011, for instance. So, yeah, it doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be a recession. The stronger, actually, indicator of that is the yield curve. That's the gap between long-term and short-term rates. Now, the global yield curve is inverted, and it's been that way since June, which says the global economy is headed for a recession or at least a dramatic slowdown. The U.S. yield curve, though, has been flattening, but is not inverted. So, they could get that way within a few months. And when these things invert, usually there's a recession 6 months later, but it isn't inverted. So we can't really point to any, I don't believe, evidence in the financial markets that suggests a recession in the United States is coming, although parts of the global economy I really think are in trouble. Emerging markets have blown up. Turkey blew up, Argentina, and China, of course, there's talk of a slowdown there.
We'll have more with Mike Swanson right after the break.
I'm Greg Johnston, CEO of Carl Data Solutions, an industrial Internet of Things company that provides big data solutions for monitoring critical infrastructure. Carl Data offers machine learning and predictive analytics features through our cloud-based applications to deliver key asset-saving operational insights from massive amounts of data. Carl Data trades on the CSE symbol CRL and the pink symbol CDTAF. For more details on Carl Data, please visit carlsolutions.com.
Avon Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia, Saskatchewan, and the Yukon. Trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the pink symbol ABN-AF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Avon's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at avonresources.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Swanson. Mike, is there a lot of optimism that the trade talks between Trump and President Xi of China will work out?
Well, I don't think they're going to have any sort of resolution, but I do think, even before today, that there are people betting on that happening, at least something positive, and therefore they've been buying stocks. Starting Monday. But again, it's kind of, to me, it's an excuse because we're already oversold coming into this week. However, I really think a resolution to the trade dispute is pretty much impossible because I think it's more than just the trade deficit that the Trump administration is trying to get China to trade. To change. They're trying to get them to basically scrap their entire industrial policy and change the way they do domestic politics. And I think what could happen, maybe, is a show. Because all we have are Trump and Xi meeting for dinner. Maybe they will say something positive. But I wouldn't take that as anything concrete. But people may take it as a positive thing for a day or two over the weekend and maybe next week and so forth. But I wouldn't take that as any sign anything real is happening at all. So this is probably just going to continue as a factor in the economy and the markets next year too, even if this weekend it's a little bit of a better view. Maybe Trump and Xi will smile together instead of Trump throwing a fit like he has done when he went to Canada and a couple other places, Germany too. So he could do that too, and so we'll see. But whatever happens, I think it's really symbolic either way and not really meaningful. If Trump throws a fit, it's for the TV. If Xi and Trump smile, it's for their TV audiences too. You really need hard negotiators working to hammer out a deal, and so far there's been no evidence that that's happening. There's no real negotiations going on into the meeting, so it's very unrealistic to expect a huge resolution of all the issues at the meeting. It's just a showpiece.
Larry Kudlow said that talks were going on all sorts of levels, but he also said the U.S. economy is doing great right now. If we put more sanctions or tariffs on, we can withstand any retaliation. China's economy is very soft right now, and they should pay attention because these tariffs will really hurt them.
Well, I think Kudlow is playing to the two audiences, the supporters of Trump that are watching that on television, and then Trump too, who's watching Kudlow on his television set when he sees it on Air Force One or the White House. And I think Kudlow is really, works to make Trump happy, and because that's what Trump likes his people to do. So I don't really take his comments that seriously, but there really isn't any evidence of any real negotiations. It's just like talking and sound bites, and I'm at least nothing is being leaked to the Wall Street Journal or the other major newspapers in the United States. In fact, the story this morning was the Chinese finally responded with a list of ideas, and it was in Chinese, written in Chinese, not English, and that made Kudlow, Lighthouser, and some of the others frustrated and angry. I guess they want the Chinese to write in English.
Well, everybody has interpreters, and of course China's going, we're the most populous nation on the planet. Maybe you should learn our language.
Yeah, I think that is what they're trying to suggest, but it's just kind of silly, but it is what it is.
We'll have more with Mike Swanson right after this.
Arctic Star Exploration, operated by a team of proven mine finders, is focused on diamonds in Finland and the Northwest Territories of Canada. Work programs are underway in Finland and Canada. Arctic Star trades on the TSX Venture Exchange symbol ADD, on Frankfurt symbol 82A1, and the OTCQB symbol ASDZF. Please visit our website arcticstar.ca or call us at 604-689-1799.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Swanson. Mike, the cryptocurrencies, are they still taking a hammering?
They're just dying. And that's, I really think the importance of the cryptocurrency stuff is when we look at the financial markets, we have to realize there was a global bull market that started in 2009, and a bull market that lasts for that long, almost a decade, typically ends with a mania, a complete bubble in some sector of it. So in the United States, back in 1999-2000, it was internet stocks, and they went up insane, and then a lot of them disappeared, went to zero, went bankrupt. And I believe the Bitcoin and the crypto is not some new revolutionary thing that's going to replace money, but was simply the final speculative blow-off of a global bull market. And it was happening something that everyone all over the world could trade with their phones and their apps, and you didn't even need money. You could just buy $5 worth of the stuff. So it was a global phenomena, and it, went up crazy a year ago from when we're talking and topped out. And Bitcoin fell to about 6,000 and stayed there all summer. and then about a month ago broke support and just collapsed again. And I just think it's a dead money situation. And I mean, my view, it's just garbage and probably going to go to nothing, and people will just stop using it because it doesn't really replace money. And I just think it's a fad. But even if you think or the listener thinks that's a funny view and thinks these are real, if you just look at the chart, it's going to take a long time for this stuff to base out and recover. Bitcoin had 2 previous 90% collapses, and it took years for it to base out before it could go up again. And that's where, in the best case scenario, Bitcoin is going to trade around here for another year or two and then go up again. So there's no reason I see for anyone to put money into this now, because it's dead money either way. It's either going to take forever to go up or it's going to go to zero. And even if the stock market has risks in it and there could be a bear market or another decline, I actually believe that's going to be the case when this rally is over, even if the rally can hold things together for a couple of weeks. But regardless, at least stock market investors, they own something. When they own a share of stock, they own an interest in a company that can pay dividends, or if the company gets bought out, they participate in that. When you own cryptocurrency, you don't own anything but virtual paper, and it's like owning H&S food stamps. You know, they were worth something back in the 70s and the 60s and the 50s, but they're worthless now because no one takes them as money, and most of these crypto people are young kids who don't even know what H&S food stamps are. And my message to them is your grandchildren won't know what these cryptocurrencies are either.
GM Motors announcing it's closing several plants in Canada and the U.S. Could you see the governments retaliating, saying perhaps we'll no longer buy GM vehicles?
It's possible, but that's something that's going to take a lot of time to happen. I mean, where that would really happen would be the military buying Jeeps and so forth. So some other company would have to pop up with Jeep contracts. And they also not only have to do that, but have to have the bribery skills and the lobbying skills to get the contracts. And even if GM lays people off and Trump gets mad about it and the workers get mad about it, it doesn't mean anyone's really going to displace them. It's just something, it's a sad situation, but it'd be a while for anything changes. I mean, we still got the government blowing money on these F-23 airplanes and stuff. It doesn't seem to stop them from doing that.
Pot stocks, will they bounce back?
Well, I think they can bounce back a little bit at least, because if we got the stock market turning higher this week for a bounce, then these stocks should also bounce too. But they've had tremendous runs this year. They fell with the markets in October and November. So I just think they're really just trading with the market, and they need time. You know, the best case, they need to consolidate and build, recover from the drop they've had and then break out next year and run again. But if they bounce and break down through the lows of October, then they're just going to fall with everything else. So it's kind of where we are in the stock market as a whole. Everything is falling hard last month or the last 8 weeks, bouncing this week. Everyone wants to buy the rally, buy the bounce, but it's going to take time to know if this is a real bottom, and I'm highly skeptical that it is. And I think people in the marijuana stocks ought to sell them, actually, and buy gold and mining stocks where things haven't run up all year and gone crazy. And those are things that kind of trade opposite to the stock market and can act as safe havens when the Fed stops raising interest rates.
If and when the Fed stops raising interest rates, does that mean the end to the rise of the U.S. dollar?
That's a really good question. That's the $64,000 question. And I suspect it will be. But we're going to have to watch that play out on the charts and the trends, and it's going to take a couple months ahead of us for it to happen, but I do think that's likely to be the case.
Mike, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. Great to talk with you.
My guest has been Mike Swanson, editor of WallStreetWindow.com. You're listening to HowStreet.com radio. Find us on Twitter at HowStreet, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Questions for the show or our guests can be sent to info@HowStreet.com. I'm Jim Goddard. Thanks for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.